Greetings, everyone, and thank you for joining me here for Simply Spiritual. Today's broadcast is brought to you by the I Am Mantras. And today's mantra is I am self sustaining. I am self sustaining. I am able to get the things done. I am able to take care of self. This includes my body, mind, and spirit. I am taking all the supplements that I need to sustain self for my weight, height, and skeletal frame. I am reading daily high vibrational spiritual information. I am sharpening my brain each and every day through games, puzzles, and conversation. I am acquiring the money I need to do the things I need to do, go the places I need to go, and assist the people I need to assist. I am not a greedy person, and anytime greed presents itself in my life, I am able and capable of turning away. So it is uttered, so it is. Please join me in welcoming Fariba to the show. Welcome, Fariba.
Hi, thank you so much for having me at your Simply Spiritual podcast. This is
Thank,
truly a privilege.
thank you so much. I appreciate that. So, Fariba, could you please tell us a little about yourself?
Yes, I don't know where to start, but perhaps I can start from my childhood a little, just touch upon a few things. I was born in southern city in Iran, in the city of Shiraz, which is next to the desert. I was born into a Baha'i family, and from young age, I was taught the faith. So, as a young child, I remember appreciating aspects of my life, just probably to make my parents happy. You know, at a young age, we do what our parents want to do. But I do remember at some point um, that I was looking at a magazine, a Baha'i magazine, and it had a children marching with a banner. And it was, we're marching under the banner of the oneness of mankind. And that was so meaningful to me that it just left an impression on my soul, and it was deeply affected me. That this is what my faith is about. That we are marching under the banner of oneness of mankind, and I remember another incident. Again, I was still in Iran with a family get together, and this was maybe I was older, maybe 12, 14, and watched the movie, and I was telling my family about this movie. My uncle was visiting from United States, and I made a comment that in this movie there were dark people who were not clean, and my uncle corrected me. And here I was raised in a Baha'i family. I was grew up with this idea of oneness of humanity, but there were still things that had influenced me in my own surrounding. And here we're talking about 50 years ago or more. In Iran, there wasn't any advertising, but in a very subtle way, I had absorbed that the skin tone has something to do with your being good or being higher, or and my uncle gently corrected me, and that also left a very strong impression on me. And um, as in any case, I came to this country. I was 17, and got an education. I have my master's in computer sciences. Shortly after, I was married and started working. And but throughout all of this, my connection with my faith was always very strong. Um, and as an immigrant child, as many immigrant families are, they are all about working hard. and having a productive life. So that was something that I valued. Um, I worked for about 7, 8 years, and at some point, with my children being there, but after the birth of our third child, I decided um, to stay home and dedicate more time to raising my children. And I enjoyed very much engaging my children in spiritual education, and um, I guess throughout this, having good friends, having that village, um, created the atmosphere of being that self-sustaining, because I recognize that I do need the love, support, camaraderie, fellowship of my community. And and I'm with those friends who were at that time we were together. I'm still with them. We were still very close friends, and but always my faith was central to my to my life throughout those years. Um, I guess this mantra of being self sustaining. I guess I um, unfortunately my marriage did dissolve, and after that my children were um, had moved on at that time, and I kind of embarked on other things. I started my own something that I had wanted to always do, and embark on a business for myself. And so for the last 10, 14 years I was able to create a some work that I again enjoyed. I was many people, I guess, do this kind of work, and that's it's some real estate work. In any case, so this was something, and yes, and I have come to realize that as I'm getting older now, what's most important to me is to serve my community in any way. I love to come together with people of similar ways of thinking. And I feel like by coming together, we increase our power, and we can serve better, and we can um, have more joy in our life. I think the highest form of happiness is when you serve, when you give of yourself for the betterment of your friend, neighbor, your community. And that's one of the things that I, at this time, I'm paying closer attention to, and
That
more
that is
thought.
beautiful. Fariba, I noticed you put under your name joy of service. Would you elaborate on that a little further for us?
Yes, I guess service can take on many forms. Like if you are taking care of yourself and you're a happy and joyful being, that's a form of service also, because each one of us bring energy into the world, and if the energy you bring into the world is a positive energy, that will affect the people around you, from the people. Even if you're going to get a cup of coffee, how you greet the person who is serving you, so that even such casual interactions as in the grocery store or coffee shop, that it is, if it's meaningful, if it brings a smile on the other person's face, that's a form of service. So but then it can go further, obviously, and we as Baha'is are encouraged in the work of community building. And the community building work starts with very simple activities. Is to get together with your neighbor, with your friend, and have deep, meaningful conversations. So that's another form of service, to get together and pray for the betterment of the world. So if you create a space where the spiritual, you increase your spiritual susceptibilities through the power of prayer, word of God, you don't know where the conversation may go, because I feel like we all are a spiritual being, but we need to turn to that power source of spirituality by turning our faces, so we can reflect that power, we can reflect that light. But if we turn our faces to only our material self, then obviously we're kind of like cutting ourselves off of that source of power. So, one of the things I try to do is to create spaces where I can come together with my friends, acquaintances, neighbors, and through prayer and spiritual conversation, increase our understanding of the world around us, bring more meaning to our lives. Um, so that's another form of service, um, which I very much enjoy, and I like to engage in it, on a regular basis. And yes, yes.
Great. Well, in terms of being self-sufficient, Fariba, and you meshed the self-sufficiency and joy of service very beautifully for us just now, and I think that equally important to mention that a part of being self-sufficient is, as you also mentioned, to make sure that our being is at the highest vibration that it can be in order to be an example for others. Because I truly believe that this walk or mission or work that we all have is to maintain ourselves, our being, every aspect of our being at the highest vibration possible. And so that the love that we have for ourselves can emanate to love for others. And I think community can only prosper and grow and elevate once we have self love, and that self love emanates to our others. Which,
Yes, yes. I appreciate that you mentioned self love. I think that self love is not that I am better than others, or um, I'm superior in any way, or because it can sometimes in this material world, self love can become too much of a focus on material love, or material satisfaction, having the proper, the latest styles or shoes, or even paying attention to our diets, even though we need to take care of ourselves to sustain ourselves, to be of service, to be happy beings. But again, if there is too much focus and only like our out of the 16 hours we're awake, we give majority of it um, to matters of like bodily perfection or appearance, then that's not the kind of self love that I'm sure you're talking about, or I like to mention. And
exactly.
but self love, in meaning that God loves us. God's love is infinite for us. And if I'm a creature created by Him, and I'm a unique creation of God, I need to take care of this creation. I need to make it, it deserves to be happy and joyous, because that's how we're created. That's when we are happy, our powers are much greater, our intellectual powers, our emotional powers. When we are sad, our powers are to just kind of, sometimes if you are dealing with great sadness, you just feel like you have no power. But when
Mm,
we are happy and joyous, we feel like we can do many things, and that's when we actually accomplish things.
yes.
So that self-love and self-care is really ultimately is for us um, to be able to connect with our creator. You know, in our faith, we believe that, the only way to get closer to God is to be happy. Uh,
Mm,
it says, rejoice in the gladness of thine heart, that thou mayest be worthy to meet me. So
beautiful.
that's the only condition of getting close to our creator, is to have joy in our hearts.
To be happy, that is
Yeah, yeah,
key. That is
yeah.
a key. And um, as we were saying, self love is a reflection of our acceptance of divine love from the Creator. Um, when we love ourselves, we make sure that our spiritual, emotional, physical, and mental being are well taken care of and at the highest vibration that they can possibly be. Now, in terms of female leadership, you're clearly a sparkling example of
Thank you.
female leadership, and example. Truly, you are. And I understand that the Baha'i faith, unlike most patriarchal religions, actually extols the role of women. Would you care to elaborate on that?
Yes, it's interesting because my parents had two boys and two girls, and the education of the daughter before my generation. Like, for example, my mom did not go to university. In her family, there were five girls and one son. I'm sorry, four girls and one son. The son achieved the highest degree of education. He was ultimately came to United States and was further educated. He's a physician. That's the uncle, my mom's brother, who also, I told you this story earlier. But my mom and the three aunts didn't go beyond high school. Then maybe they went to typing school and became secretary, but it was more important for them to get married. So um, that was the environment of the country. But but it was so emphasized again in our gatherings in Iran that the education of the boys and the girls are equally important. In fact, in the writings of our faith, if a parent can only educate one child and has to decide between the son or the daughter, they must educate the daughter, because the daughter is the educator of the next generation. So education of daughters is prioritized over the education of the son. So so basically, there was no question in the way we were raised that we must all achieve higher education. And my sister and I are both engineers. Um, my younger brother also is an engineer, but and then my youngest brother was a physician. But we never felt like his education was more important. In
Mm,
fact, um, we were empowered, especially the role of the father here, that my father gave a lot of attention to. I remember personally doing math puzzles with me from a very young age, which created this kind of attraction to math. And yes, so I'm very sorry about that. um, So basically, yes, education was very important, and I feel like my parents instilled in us empowered us to, to that we are capable, we are able to lead fulfilling lives, we are able to solve problems and achieve things. So I appreciate it. Especially my dad was very much had a great influence in my life in that respect. And yes, and my dad is still alive. He
Oh.
he actually lives with me, and he's 98 years old. And yes, so I feel like he was second generation Baha'i, and his father becomes a Baha'i. His mom never becomes a Baha'i. Iran is a Muslim country, and you know, my dad gave great importance to spiritual education, um, and he assured us that you know that this is something very meaningful, and was persistent in us going to our Baha'i children classes, like Sunday classes and etc. Um, I'm just going to say another word about my dad because again that was meaningful. He gave great importance to physical well-being. So in summertime, sometimes he would come home early from work so he could take us swimming. In the winter months, we always went hiking. So of course, my mom and dad both put great importance on nature and being outdoors, and you know so those are some of my memories from my childhood, which I feel like I was very fortunate to be raised in a smaller city. And we only had like 2 hours or maybe 4 hours of TV programming, and it was only one channel, so very little exposure um, to electronics. And I feel it for parents these days.
Mm.
I feel it for them that they have quite a challenge.
In
Yeah.
this age of technology, yes. It's
Yeah.
wonderful when it works. However, with children, they need supervision, absolutely. It
Yes.
has to
Yeah.
be
Yes.
monitored for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Fariba. Anything else you'd like to add?
um no, I like to just end by saying that reliance on the power of prayer. um I have witnessed it. um a prayer that is true submission to our the higher power, and really this idea that we are truly powerless and we need to ask assistance in our daily endeavors, and assistance does come. That was yes.
In the surety that we will receive that which we ask for. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
well, it not necessarily we receive exactly what we ask for, but we receive an inspiration, an understanding. We may come and speak to a friend who will show us a path. So it doesn't necessarily mean we get what exactly we ask for. I didn't mean it that way, but that there are many ways that we may uh, receive an answer. And I think when we become more spiritual, it's like our antennas are stronger and we get it, you know? So, yes,
We become more in tuned with
yes,
the spiritual.
yes, that's the correct terminology, to become more in tune with those inspirations or a conversation that if you're not in tune, we may completely miss it. But if we,
Exactly.
you know, so,
So,
yeah,
in essence, then becoming more spiritually aware and in tuned.
yes,
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 yes.
yes,
Via prayer and being self sufficient and taking care of ourselves and not being aware that in an excess of anything is not of a high vibration, that we have to be
Yeah,
balanced in everything that we do.
exactly.
Correct? Yes,
Yes,
yes.
yes, yes.
Well, thank you so much, Fariba. It was an absolute pleasure having here on the show, extolling the virtues of self-sufficiency, the joy of service, and the
Yeah.
importance of community.
Thank you for the opportunity. It was truly a pleasure speaking to you as
Thank
well.
you so much, Fariba. Take care.
All right, bye bye.
Thank you so much for joining us today at Simply Spiritual. See you next time.
What did you think?
One moment.